Hello. I have deleted some of my videos. I know because I've been approaching 1,000 videos, but the thing is that not all of them were actually high quality. Some of them were like genuinely embarrassing and like um ill conceived, like not well thought out or planned, with questionable motives and lackluster results. So, certain videos that I've made, I decided to just get rid of them. Um, and I think that's a fine decision. But, yeah, um, I did delete my Veterans Day video. That was one of the early videos from, like, the beginning of the channel. And I think, it's cool to do a redo of that because, one thing that's kind of interesting about me is that I've got a fixation on war and shit. And it's actually like, it's pretty toxic, I think. I mean, listen, I've a fixation on war because, I'm interested in the 60s, and during the 60s there was like the Vietnam War and it was a whole thing. And my grandfather died. Well, no, he didn't die in the Vietnam War, but a part of him did, Um, and it's just tragic to me. It's tragic to me because, um, you know, he just he was never the same. He died when I was 4 of addiction, basically. I mean, I don't know what to call it. I don't actually quite know what happened to him, like literally what directly caused his death. I don't know if it was I don't think it was like alcohol poisoning or anything like that, so I can't literally say like, yeah, the addictions killed him. But I mean, he had a life of chaos with the substances and everything, and so did my grandmother, the one who was married to him. So, you know, his wife, she outlived him, but yeah, it's just I'm fixated on war, not just because of like the sort of nostalgia type stuff, the well, I'm not nostalgic for a past that I wasn't a part of, but it's a sort of romanticization of something. I mean, see, the uncomfortable truth about the past is that they really were fond of romanticizing tragedy. And we still are today, of course. I mean, it's not like that sort of phenomenon goes away. That's a very human phenomenon, but it's got actual consequences, Um, and I identify with, I mean, at certain points in my life I really thought of myself as like a soldier because like I was experiencing traumatic events in my life all the time. Uh Not on the scale of like literal war, obviously, but just, I mean, like going into psychosis is an inherently traumatic experience. I thought that in my head for a while, but then recently I saw a video where someone else talked about the psychosis they went through and talked about how it was traumatic, and I agree. It's like some of the shit that you do when you're out of it is just so unusual, and you just some of it's like you can't even, you don't know what's real and what's not, and you also like, your sense of self is affected. And it's just it's a very vulnerable position to be in. You can be, anything could happen, and uh I I'm lucky enough that I can mostly say that I'm my own worst enemy. Um, there are a lot of people that get to me, and I know that seems terrible. You're your own worst enemy. That's terrible. But if it's me, well, that's someone I have more control over than anybody else. Granted, I've often had this philosophy that free will itself isn't real, and I still basically stand by that. But, uh, like it's an illusion, it's an illusion that one experiences as a vessel who is supposed to experience the idea that they're in control. Like, we are wired to believe we're in control, but the more you know about the way the world works, the more you may believe that, we're not really in control and it's all just like wiring, so to speak. Things that, you know, just kind of smoke and mirrors type stuff. I mean, I don't know how to talk about it outside of metaphor, and it's okay if you don't agree with me, but this is a philosophy that I have. Nevertheless, um, I can't make other people bend to my will, but I, through trial and error, understand what to do with my life, and it can take an awfully long time, um, as these things as these things often do for people. I don't know. I think some people, I guess they don't have a lot of trouble, but I do. Um, so yeah, like when I talked about Veterans Day, I had my Veterans Day video. My Veterans Day video is the one that got deleted. The thing about Veterans Day is like I feel that the people who die in the war, or well, wait, shit. No, Veterans Day isn't for people that died in the war. Veterans Day is for people that survived. Um, yeah, that's the thing. So yeah, I mean they get a holiday for like, fighting for their country. Um, but like, when it comes to my grandfather, for example, I remember um little things that my mom told me about him, like why did he join the the military, and he says it's just what you did, back then it's just what you did. Like, if there's a war, you join the cause because you're fighting for your country or something like that. I mean, I don't even know if he put it in those terms. It's just that's what you did, like a just sense of duty without much beyond it, just a certain destiny perceived, and followed. um and it's shocking. uh it's tragic. When my mom asked him one time as a kid, when I guess she was a little kid, very little, and she found out that he had been in Vietnam. She asked him, did you kill anybody? Just like up front, because I mean, I don't know. I reckon she didn't know that that would be a bad thing to ask. I reckon she's not all that good at, figuring that out. But anyway, uh, she was a little kid. He just said, I was a very good soldier. It's a haunting thing. It's deeply haunting. Um, and after he got out, because see, the thing is, he was almost gonna go to some kind of like, uh, there was, I wish I actually knew the details because I don't. But the thing about it is, there was a mission that he was gonna go on. Uh, his name is Aaron, by the way. Um, Aaron was gonna go on a some kind of mission like somewhere outside of Vietnam, and that's where they just straight up killed him. I think, right? Like I think that's, I don't know if it's confirmed or if it's just speculation within the family, but basically the understanding was that he was gonna go somewhere where essentially it was like a suicide mission kind of thing. But I don't know if he actually knew that at the time. I don't think he knew. So, he shot himself in the foot to get out, and like it worked, and they let him out. And it wasn't like an honorary discharge or a dishonorary discharge. It was like something in between. And uh I fixate on it so much. After he got out of the war, he was very much different. You know, my mom says that her mom, his wife at the time, uh okay, yeah, this is difficult to understand. Okay, yeah. My grandma told my mom, and then my mom told me that Aaron was painfully shy before the war, before everything, before my mom knew him, her father. His personality was different. He was a very shy person. But after he got out, after he had been basically, just, trained to like crave the catharsis of murder and stuff. I mean, I'm sorry to put it in those terms, but like, yeah, his personality shifted. Like, I think, he craved the thrill, so he would be very aggressive and abusive to his loved ones, and also abuse drugs and alcohol. There were stories of like how he would he would like be drinking. He had a lot of trouble with alcoholism, and then like they tried to, uh through some like legal issue, he was forced to take pills or something that made the alcohol not work, because they had invented some medication that makes the alcohol not work. So you know what he did? He just tried everything in the house, all the chemicals in the house, experimenting to try and see if there was one thing that could make it like not effective, make it so that that medication would stop working so that he could still drink. Um, and he found a chemical in the house, a household chemical. I don't know what it was, like if it was like, I mean, something dangerous, obviously, something you're not supposed to put in your body. Probably some fucking cleaning supplies of some kind, something crazy, something dangerous. I don't know what, but yeah, and he figured it out, found one that worked, is what I'm saying. It's just like, yeah, no, it's apparently that sort of thing is possible, but it's horrible. Like, I know what it's like to be just dead set on getting some kind of like buzz of any kind, regardless of the consequences. It's not fun. It's not a good way to live. Um. So yeah, I think it's just deeply sad because, when with the Veterans Day video, or I mean, when the Veterans Day holiday, it's like, you're honoring people who I suppose might not have very honorable lives otherwise, but I hate the military industrial complex. I hate the military for what it does to people in the first place. So yeah, but I kind of idealize aesthetics of the military because it's like a hyper masculine kind of thing. I mean, even though there are women in the military, but that historically hasn't been the case. It's seen as like a super manly kind of thing. So, it's like it's unhealthy, and it's like uh it's unethical kind of. I mean, it's not unethical to just like the aesthetic, I guess, but it's still weird. There's a tragedy in it, a deep tragedy. It's generally like just the fucking trauma factory, the death factory. Not everybody who's in the military goes to war, but even just being in there, it can't be fun. There's no way it's fun. If you think it's fun, come on. Really? I mean, I don't know. Who am I to judge? Maybe some people really like it in there. But, yeah. I don't want people to suffer, and I hate it when people lie to themselves and act like they're not suffering. And I know I'm a hypocrite for that, because I do that stuff a lot. I do. But, yeah. Um, the military, it just takes years away from your life that you can never get back. Precious years of your sweet, sweet life that you can never get back. Pieces of yourself that you can never get back in many cases. And you know that trauma that goes on for generations. I mean, there's something there, of course. My mom is pretty high strung. She doesn't have addiction problems, or at least she didn't when I knew her. When as I've known her, right? Like that she vapes, but anyway, um, it's just that she grew up in that environment, and I resent the society we live in for creating it in such a way, creating these patterns. And I resent myself for not being the one to fix it because I sort of like the movies about war, even when they're horrific, because the thing about people is they love spectacle. They love spectacle, and violence can be very spectacular. And doesn't matter like how real it is or whatever, how horrific in any way it is. Like people, they want to latch on to that, and it doesn't really mean that I want people to suffer, because I don't. I hate that. But yeah, like, I don't know, people will find something to kind of satisfy them in some way, and I suppose lots of people are satisfied by violence. um Sorry, this one's negative. It's a negative video, but I've been deleting my videos, and like, you know, I thought this one was important to retouch on. Um, Farewell. Because, a lot of my older videos were just really very unstable and um, high risk for exposure in those terms. Anyway, I'll see you later, alright? This is actually the end now, yeah. You know how songs have false starts? This is false endings.